How's it going, everybody? Zoinkmeister Patrick here, joined again by Adam of Zoinkmeister, and today we'll be playing more Doom 2016 for the PC.
Yeah.
John Mulaney. John Mulaney was being interviewed by Stephen Colbert. It was a really nice interview. Even if you don't like Stephen Colbert, it was kind of it was good, just like, personal, kind of like, it was one of the best interviews I've seen, just for being like very real, I guess. It wasn't like canned questions, whatever. Just like kind of the guys like talking about their life and stuff. I don't know. It was interesting. But at one point, John Mulaney talks about how people think of him as a clean comedian, like he doesn't swear in his sets. But he mentioned that he realized that he does swear, but people don't attribute it to him as long as he says someone else said it. So he just says, like, this guy walked up the street and told me I was a whatever, and then the people are like, I can't believe they said that to you, even though he's the one that said it on stage, whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, he says that's the trick. So I was thinking about that recently, and I was like, yeah, kind of on YouTube, as far as the, like, well, I don't know. I mean, the algorithm and stuff's changed with like COPPA, whatever, but it was like, for a while, it was like, oh yeah, you probably shouldn't swear in videos and stuff, make it family friendly. And just in general, I try to keep this channel like family friendly, as far as my videos go and stuff like that. I don't get to like aggressively like adult content. Generally speaking.
God, okay, that was all me.
Yeah,
I did it myself. I blew it up in the air prematurely. I assume they're gonna be faster than they are, and that. But go ahead. Yes.
So
my first time playing this.
I made up this story, where basically the F word, I'm gonna replace. So it was like I wanted to tell a story that was like for adults because of the to make the video like not for children, but I didn't want to swear, so it was like accessible to like if a child was watching. They could watch it and enjoy the story just as much as adult, and the adult would enjoy the story differently than a child would.
Back up. Okay.
So it's kind of complicated. So unfortunately, I wrote down notes, right, so I could tell the story. But the only note I wrote down was Funny Beagle story and Stationary Terrier Dogs.
Oh, I missed it. I missed that jump. Okay, well.
That's unfortunate.
Rowboat.
So I was wondering if I could recreate this. So the idea was, I'm trying to remember. Oh yeah, I remember what Stationary Terrier Dogs was, but the idea is this is a story about a funny beagle. For the adults listening, funny is my replacement word for the F word, and beagle is my replacement word for the B word.
Wow.
So okay. I was walking down the street, right, in the bad part of town, let's say, and a funny beagle comes across me, like on the street, and the funny beagle says, hey, boy, do you want to have a good time? Pay some money for a good time? And I say, oh my goodness, it's a talking beagle. I can't believe that. And the funny beagle says, yeah, we can, have a good time if you pay some money. I was like, you know what? I'll pay money to see more of a talking beagle. That's a crazy thing that happened to me. So I paid the money and ended up with Stationary Terrier Dogs, or STDs for short. So that's my. So that's
I'm so happy.
Funny beagle story that I came up with.
Well, they got me this time again.
You know what? This next run, we're gonna try it silent and see what happens.
No. Trust me. I'm honestly not listening, and I don't catch everything you just said until afterwards.
Well, I just want to try it for that way we can edit out the thing. Worst case scenario.
Behind, isn't it? Yeah, okay.
Well, that was an interesting try. That's gonna get cut out, but so yeah, going back to my funny beagle story. The whole point of it was, in case you're listening to that, you're like, wow, that was a weird, dirty story. The point was, like, I wanted to try starting it out as like very obviously like adult. If you're an adult, whenever you listen to it, you're like, okay, you know what? The funny is the F word and beagle is the B word, and you're like, oh yeah, I'm walking down like a dirty part of town and a funny beagle walks in front of me and offers me a good time. You're like, okay, like. I think you get where the story's going. But then, from there...
I think the trick is that the next set of demons don't spawn. Like, they still spawn, but, like, those things, the Brawler-isk ones, don't spawn until the Kako demon's dead. And then what's it called? The invisible pinkies don't spawn until these ones are dead. I think that's the trick.
Okay, so you can go around and try to kill the enemies that are just in the way.
Yeah, but I'm still on a time limit, so...
Yes, you don't want to take too long.
That's the issue.
Interesting. So yeah, so then the next part of the story, explaining a joke makes it bad, but I thought it was worth doing just for the sake of this. So the next part of the story was supposed to be that, then I call out and they say, oh wow, it's a talking dog. And then you're like, oh wait, what? Maybe it was just a literal story and the Funny Beagle is actually Funny Beagle.
Yeah.
And so you're like, okay, it's a talking dog. And then at the end of it, I end it by bringing it back with the Stationary Terrier Dogs, which are, of course, STDs. And you're like, oh, wait. So what was the story actually? What was the real story? What really happened? Was there?
Shoot. Okay.
Who was the Funny Beagle? Was it a talking dog? Who could it have been instead? How could that have possibly been a metaphor? And just different stuff like that. So I was trying to think of a way of just like coming up with a story that was complicated and both it, being a mixture of like what would seem an adult story next to what would seem like a kid's story. So in one part and another part.
Did I run out of time?
Yeah, I guess so. You must have run out of time.
Oh my goodness.
I wasn't paying attention. I've been in my own world.
Okay, so I get it now.
Good, because I don't.
Yeah, I think I get it.
That's good though. I'm glad you're yeah. A game of Yahtzee is not the same without the dice. That's something I've already referenced, but I still think it's funny.
A who?
Playing Yahtzee, it's not the same without the dice. A game of Yahtzee is not the same without the dice.
Oh my goodness, everything spawned next to me. Did you see that?
Mainly because it's just a sole requirement for playing Yahtzee is that you need dice. Same with Liar's Dice. Man, Liar's Dice is a fun game to play on Red Dead Redemption 1. I could not progress in the story because I like playing that minigame too much.
I screwed up this round as
Those
well.
are real things that happen to me. You know what else I'd like to talk about, because I have plenty of time, is...
You're the worst type of human.
Me?
Yeah.
What did I do?
Things I have to talk about because I have plenty of time.
I have so much time now. What do you call this? These are things that I referenced way earlier in this series that I never actually finished. Yeah, I think so. He's invisible, so he could be just secretly behind you.
That's what I'm afraid of.
Oh yeah, there he is. I like how he the scream got louder as he got closer.
Goodness,
yeah.
I could have done it. That was it too. Okay, I figured it out. Go ahead and.
That's good.
Yeah,
that's good. I'm just
that was it. Yeah,
mostly...
I messed up. It's the RPG backfire that's getting me every single time.
I'm giving you your space. I don't know why I have E here. Oh, 10E. Oh, interesting. Okay. Here we go. I have a superpower idea, which I think is cool, and I think it could work well in a story. And I just made up this superpower or whatever. And because I'm more of a concept guy than I am an execution. So here's the concept idea.
I can't believe that hurt me from that distance.
Of a superpower. Actually, another thing I brought this up many times on the channel, but superpowers that have to happen. In a world where there's plenty of stories, I've explained this many times, but it's in stories where everyone has a superpower. Excuse me. In worlds where everyone has a superpower, and you're guaranteed to get to every single type of superpower that exists. One Punch Man or My Hero Academia or Zoom or Sky High.
Yeah, they're not limited by anything, so anyone can have everything.
Right. So when there's statistically that many different kinds of superpowers, or the entire Marvel series or DC Universe, whatever, I like to come up with superpowers that must exist just statistically because they're they sound like...
Because why wouldn't they?
Right, they're such normal thing. The requirement is they're something that seems really normal or is really... one I mentioned was having acid pee.
Yeah.
That has to exist, right? It's a normal body function, just slightly twisted to be yeah, someone has to have that power. It's not something crazy.
Why wouldn't they?
Right, it's a super normal thing that you'd be oh yeah, people have superpowers.
I'm dead.
That's likely to happen, right? So the most recent one is we were just outside, and I was you know what a guaranteed superpower is? The ability to cause a light breeze to happen. Just in your area, just you're standing there.
God. Okay.
And there's no wind at all. And you just cause a light breeze to pass.
Yeah.
You're yeah. Because what was it? Sky High, where the guy had the ability to glow in the dark. That's another example of a superpower that has to exist, and it was in that movie. But those types of things where you're yeah, absolutely someone's power is to glow in the dark. Why wouldn't it be? That's such a normal thing. Yeah, I love those. So anyway, this is not one of those. This is more a main character or one of the stronger character superpowers that I think would be cool. I don't know, it has its own weaknesses and strengths and all that, and I think making a story around it would be interesting. But I'm not good enough of a writer to attempt something like that. But I'm gonna list it here because we have time. So this is a superpower idea. It's a constant invisible force field bubble with a radius of the character's height that prevents anything moving faster than 10 times E, the number E, kilometers per hour, which is equivalent to 16.9 miles per hour. So it'll prevent anything moving faster than that, 17 miles per hour basically, from going through it in either direction, meaning he can't shoot, he can't be shot or use a gun himself or herself, whatever, the person with this power can't use a gun because the force field would stop anything moving faster than, you know, whatever. Anything moving fast can go through, cannot go through the force field. But the stopping speed is not fixed. The stopping speed is not fixed though. I don't know what that means, but I have that written down here. It was hard to find something that worked, and I ended up basing it off of fall speed without taking damage, as I wanted it to work for falling too. Okay, I just tell you what I have written down.
Oh my,
here.
that was the last one again, Patrick.
You're doing well. You're doing well.
It's, I hate myself.
If you'd done it, then I wouldn't have been able to finish this excerpt that I wrote who knows when.
Yeah, this might be its own little thing right now.
Yeah, I imagine this will be its own episode. Other things that could be added to make it stronger would be if it acted as a filter and expelled all harmful chemicals within its volume. This could be taken to the extreme of like curing diseases that entered it. Another buff might be the option to like solidify the field so nothing can pass through it to avoid a slow crush. Weakness to it could be that the air couldn't pass through when you solidify the shield. So it would have like an innate timer, like you can only harden the shield for a certain amount of time because you also can't breathe. But yeah, so yeah, I was thinking it would be cool just having this ability where it's like, where it like basically causes like people can't shoot at you and you can't shoot at them. So in order to like in a fighting type show or whatever, you'd have to get close. And so it'd be like a guy with a sword basically. And like every time a guy with a sword is in a TV show, you're like, why does he have a sword? A gun, like there's no explanation for why a gun would not be better. Like even if they can use the sword effectively, why wouldn't they just use a gun instead? Like they could also use that probably more effectively. And so this was kind of like an explanation for it where it's like, he can't use a gun because his own shield would block the bullets. And they can't use a gun on him because his shield blocks the bullets. And he's like forced to use a sword in order to kill people or fight people or whatever, or a bat or whatever, you know, whatever. This would be the point.
Oh my goodness.
And yeah, I was thinking it would also be a cool way of like, if you jump off of a building or whatever, then the bubble would also, in that weird way of like anime explanation where it doesn't have to like specifically work well, is if you like jump off of a tall building or a tall cliff,
it's at, and that's horrifying.
The shield would like stop the ground from hitting you too hard because
oh, Patrick, I'm out of time.
The ground would be moving at you faster than the limited speed, which is 17 miles per hour. So you could survive long falls and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So the character like jump off of buildings and land on the floor and not get hurt because it stops the ground from hitting him at anything faster than 17 miles per hour. Which you think like, oh, but wouldn't you like, you know, immediately stopping momentum would like crush your body? And I was like, yeah, it doesn't make sense in that sense, obviously. But I was saying in that like weird way that shows do where they like ignore some physics to make, to make dumb explanations work. Yeah. So I don't know. I thought it'd be a cool power. I thought it was a neat idea. And it was like a weird different way of explaining like someone who can't use a gun, you know, much better than
like just like not explained.
The first Infamous game where you can't use a gun because electricity powers.
Oh yeah, it was like, oh yeah, the electricity will ignite the gunpowder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, what? Oh, why? That's weird. I don't know. Can you actually like shoot a bullet by hitting it with a taser? Is that real?
I don't know.
Like I feel like it isn't, but I don't know. I don't know. That's not something I've ever tried looking up. My God, we are getting through like all of my little conversation pieces that I wanted to say at some point on the channel and never thought I'd be able to. This is nice. I like this. I like this a lot.
Yeah, you like my failure?
I mean, I don't not like your failure. Yo, we could have just cut it all out. I say could have as if it were past tense. I still can cut it all out. But
where's the last one? I'm out of time. That is the hardest. I hate everyone. I want the planet to be ended.
You're so crazy.
I released coronavirus.
That was me.
Because of this game in the future past.
Wow, that's something special. Do we talk about? Oh yeah, we talked about it in another show that probably no one's gonna watch. So I might as well talk about it here since no one's still watching this point. If anyone's still watching this point, you are a super trooper, super duper.
Where's the Kako demon?
Oh, one thing I wanted to talk about in the Kingdom Hearts video, actually, which I never did, was so sometimes YouTube lists comments as spam, and they don't appear on the channel, and they're just go to our spam folder, which says like, you got this comment, it might be spam. Do you want to approve it or delete it? I don't think Adam ever looks at that, as far as I know. So I'm
a couple.
Okay, so I usually either approve or delete the spam comments. And I want to say here that like, as far as like what my criteria is for that, in case you're like, I wonder if my comment will be listed as spam. Probably not is the answer. Usually I tell it's a spam comment if it's like really aggressively like marketing type comment, where it's just like subscribe to my YouTube channel. This guy sucks. I can do YouTube better than anybody. And I'm like, all right, that's not relevant to the video in any way. I don't think we need that. And I never mark a comment as spam if YouTube doesn't ask. Like I never delete a comment, whatever. I've only delete comments that are already never appeared on the channel because they're marked as spam. So, in case you're wondering, wow, this is it.
Where's the last one?
There. Please. You have 11 seconds. You did it.
Oh my goodness.
I thought you blew yourself up there at the last second. You did not. And that was it. That's everything I wanted to say.
God.
Perfect timing. Maybe I've been holding you back this whole time. Yay.
That was the worst thing.
We have to select that.
Yeah, that was hard.
Adam, I didn't start the recording.
I think you'd have to work for me for 14 years for free.
We're talking about that Bible story. I believe it's with Isaac, who works for his wife. So which one do we want to replace?
This one.
We need that one because it drops armor, and we need more armor for the infinite ammo.
Yeah.
So
is it
yeah,
right?
Yeah. Let's do it. And yeah, all right. So these are our like the good boys. So we don't have over 100 armor right now, so we can't test it out, unfortunately.
Yeah, we'll have to go out and
if we get a big armor or something like that, oh boy.
Hashtag big armor.
You can be sure.
Well, I think this is a good place to stop. Well, that's it for this episode. Remember to like and subscribe, all that fun stuff.
Like out.